So, are you ready to make a move to the Philippines? Now, the decision you have to make is how do you go through the process of moving your boxes, your furniture, and so forth and so on? What is allowed to be taken to the Philippines? What is restricted? What is taxable? What is not taxable? That's what we're going to talk about. So, stay with me and let's move on. In my previous episode, I talked about how to bring your car, or should you bring your car to the Philippines? Or should you just go ahead and sell them here, get rid of them here, and buy another one in the Philippines? Well, that's what we talked about in my previous episode. This time, we're going to talk about how about your other personal belongings, because those two are two different things. They're handled differently. And by the way, some people wanted to bring their car. Some people said they want to bring their Maserati. What are you going to do with a Maserati in the Philippines? Where are you going to drive it? In my case, take a look. This is what I'm going to bring to the Philippines. Oh, sorry, not bring, but what I'm going to find in the Philippines. I hope I can find it. But this will give me a lot less headache than bringing something from the United States and then having a problem finding spare parts, because they will break down. At some point, they will break down. So anyway, we'll move on to the next topic that we have, and that is how about your jewelries and other belongings, valuables. In my case, I'll probably just put anything that will fit in balikbayan boxes, okay? But that's me. For some of you, you may want to get a container and fill it up and have it shipped. I know somebody who did that. She actually brought everything that she has in the house, everything, no exception, okay? And I don't know how much it cost her. I don't know what kind of headache she had when she got to the Philippines. And that was also a long time ago, maybe 20, 25 years ago. So things may be different at that time compared to today. So today, I'm going to put it again on PowerPoint, just so it will be easier to understand. And after that, if you have any comments or questions, please feel free to ask down below. But please don't ask about details that obviously I will not know. But if I don't know, I'll just tell you I don't know. Okay? So let's move on. The following individuals are allowed to bring personal and household effects. Number 1, returning residents, Filipino nationals who have stayed in a foreign country for a period of at least 6 months. 2, overseas Filipino worker, OFWs, with valid passport and certified by the Department of Labor and Employment, that's called DOLE, or the Philippine Overseas Employment Association for employment overseas and has employment contract. Overseas Filipino, this is for those people who are citizens of another country and did not want to get dual citizenship. Persons coming to settle in the Philippines, or Filipinos or their families and descendants who are now residents or citizens of other countries. Balikbayan, an OFW or former Filipino who has stayed abroad for at least 1 year. Now, if you qualify under any of the above categories, take a note of the following. Shipment of your personal and household effects will be exempted from payment of customs duties and taxes as provided below. So that is not, there is limitation here. That's not unlimited. So we'll get to that. However, the person should secure either before departure from the country of residence or within 60 days upon his arrival in the Philippines, a written approval from the Department of Finance for tax and duty-free importation of household goods. So don't just ship them and then come to the Philippines, or at least if you come to the Philippines, within 60 days you should take care of this. But preferably take care of it before you leave the foreign country you're coming from. C. A letter of request for tax and duty exemptions should be addressed to the Philippine Department of Finance, Mabuhay Lane Office, Podium, Department of Finance Building, BSP Complex, Rojas Boulevard, Manila 1004, Philippines. Their telephone number is 632-526-8458. Fax number is 523-4955. Please double check this in case this information I got is already obsolete. But try this first and see if it works. You could also send an email. Hopefully they answer to helpdesk at dof.gov.ph. Their website is www.dof.gov.ph. The following document should accompany the request letter for tax and duty-free importation. Import shipping document, that's called also the bill of lading. Import commercial documents, invoice and packing list. Copies of passport, if Filipino citizen or dual citizens, foreign passport, oath of allegiance of Filipino citizen and order granting Filipino citizenship, 13A visa. A foreigner is married to a Filipino citizen, or 13G if former Filipino. This 13G is for people, former Filipino, who did not want to get a dual citizenship but would rather get some kind of immigrant visa. They're given the 13G visa. For Filipino citizens, copy of marriage certificate as proof of residency in a foreign country. For 13A and 13G visa holders, copies of Alien Certificate of Registration, ACR, and Immigration Certificate of Residence, ICR. Affidavit of ownership that has undergone consular notarization and authentication. Here we go again. Philippines with this consular and notary, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes they do not accept our notary in the United States or in a foreign country. You need to go to the consular office and have it notarized there. Authority of representative in lieu of consignee, if you're using a representative. Employment contract or a certified true copy of your employment contract. Tour of duty or a certified copy of that. Birth certificate, or I would also certify this copy rather than just a copy of the birth certificate. And marriage contract if you are married to a Filipino. Applicants for tax and duty-free importation should be ready with the original copies of documents for presentation to the Department of Finance or Bureau of Customs when claiming your goods. If you have the original, bring the original. If you don't, hopefully you have a certified true copy of the original. Okay? Now, this is the important thing. To what extent is it tax-free? Okay? Returning residents, personal and household effects, including household appliances, jewelry, precious stones, and other goods of luxury which were formally declared and listed before departure and identified before the district collector when exported from the Philippines by such returning residents. Okay? So, these are stuff that you brought with you. So when you exported it, you should have prepared these documents. Now they want a, those are the items that are covered by this line item. And personal and household effects including wearing apparel, goods of personal adornment, toilet goods, toilet paper, instruments related to one's profession and other personal and household effect, except luxury items. The luxury items covered here in this section: household appliances, jewelry, precious stones, and other goods of luxury which were formally declared and listed before departure and identified before the district collector when exported from the Philippines. Okay? Otherwise, they should be here. Returning residents shall have tax and duty exemption on personal and household effects that is not in commercial quantity. So as long as it's personal and you're just using it, not to be sold or something like that. Not intended for barter, sale, or for hire, and limited to the value of, now here it is, 350,000 pesos or $7,000 for those who have stayed in a foreign country for at least 10 years and have taken this privilege within the 10-year period prior to returning residents' arrival. $250,000 or pesos or $5,000 for those who have stayed in a foreign country for at least 5 years but not more than 10 years and have taken this privilege within 5 years prior to returning residents' arrival. All right? 150,000 pesos or $3,000 for those who have stayed in a foreign country for less than 5 years and have not taken this privilege within 6 months prior to returning residents' arrival. Okay? Now, overseas Filipino workers, OFWs, in addition to the privileges granted above to the classified as returning residents, an OFW may be allowed to bring in tax and duty-free home appliances and other durables, limited to one of every kind. So don't bring 2 television, 2 toasters, and things like that. So it's limited to one of every kind once a calendar year, accompanying them on the return up to 150,000 pesos or $3,000. So every time you come back, you can bring one of each of something that does not exceed 150,000 pesos. Balikbayan boxes. Residents of the Philippines, OFWs or other Filipinos, upon their return to the Philippines, shall be allowed to bring or send to their families and relatives in the Philippines balikbayan boxes which shall be exempt from applicable duties and taxes, provided balikbayan boxes contain personal and household effects only and shall not be commercial quantities nor intended for barter or sale. This privilege is used up to 3 times in a calendar year. Any amount in excess of the allowable non-dutiable value shall be subject to duties and taxes. Now, overseas Filipino, this is the immigrant, but originally Filipino, but now citizen of another country. Professional instruments and implements, tools of trade, occupation or employment, wearing apparel, domestic animals, and personal household effect in quantities and of the class suitable to the profession or rank or position of the persons importing said items. It shall be exempt from payment of customs duties and taxes, provided that the Bureau may, upon the production of satisfactory evidence that such persons are actually coming to settle in the Philippines, so you have to prove that you're settling in the Philippines, and that the goods are brought from their former place of abode, except vehicles, aircraft, and machinery. Oh boy, who's going to bring an aircraft, right? Well, never say never. But the vehicles are covered under a different topic that I covered earlier. Okay? I'm not talking about this episode, the previous episode. There you go. There you have it. As I mentioned, my plan is just to bring anything that's going to fit in a balikbayan box. Anything like furnitures, heavy stuff. I'm not even going to bother with that. It's going to be a lot easier. See, because when you get to the Philippines, what are you going to do? How are you going to hold them from the customs to everywhere else? Now, if you know a lot of people in the Philippines, you have relatives, you have friends who can help you out, fine, that may be a different story. But in my case, I will arrive in the Philippines like a stranger. I don't know anyone. Maybe I know somebody, but I don't want to bother them, okay? I have my own life, and they have their own life to worry about. Why bother them? So I'll take the easiest route. Don't bring as much as I can, because I will be moving around the Philippines anyway. It's not like I'm going to stay in one place and die there. I'm going to be moving around. For all you know, I might sell my condo and buy a little hut, a little nipe hut in the province. I have no idea. We'll see how things go. And obviously, I don't have a long life to look ahead of me, so I'm just taking advantage of whatever life I still have, hopefully 20 years or so. So if you have any questions, again, please feel free to put them down below. And thank you very much for watching, and watch my next episodes. And I hope you like this video. And if you do, please do share it with others. And please do subscribe. I'll appreciate that a lot. Thank you.